Okay, and we're back. So, okay, it's been a while. Okay, it's been a while. This game, I played Suzerain, the original base game, right? Okay, and basically, if I'm not mistaken, like I went for populism, okay, economic populism, but with a little bit of like being realistic, okay? Because I'm even though like there are some opinions, there are some like governing style that I want to go full on. Okay, I want to go on full on basically um I want to go full on like helping the people, but there's sometimes you have to like cut, okay? You have to cut some deals with the bad guys. But with because if not, we're not gonna achieve anything. But I would say we sell out like around 20%. Like we sell out 20% to get 80%. Because if we don't sell out a little bit, we're gonna have to, like we're not gonna get our ideals past game. Because I remember when I was playing Suzerain, like the biggest one is probably with the with the chief justices, okay? So if we don't cut a deal with them, they are not gonna like agree with us. Even though like at the end we kind of like have to take a bullet, but at least our movement, okay, at least our movement gain momentum because of us, okay. So we basically focus on education, we focus on healthcare, like even though that we only lasted for one, even though only we lasted for one term, we are able to basically protect we're basically able to like pave the path for the country to be successful. And now we're entering the DLC, which is wait oh okay, which is the Kingdom of Rizia here. Okay, so this time I'm gonna play as a monarchy. So semi-constitutional monarchy. Okay. Okay. Population 40 million. State religion Ruhism. Okay. Key exports gas, gold, and wine. Starting date 1950. King Romus Toras has ascended to the throne. His reign begins under geopolitical strife, contention between royal houses, and demand for the reclamation of lost lands. Okay. So with this, okay, it's gonna start our journey as a king, which is a kind of like a interesting take because you are gonna have to like. There's also political things that you have to maneuver, okay? Because like it says here, with the other, we just ascended to the throne. We have geopolitical strife, contention with royal houses. So like that's quite a lot of things to go through, okay? And because usually like we will just play as um like a political party kind of perspective, right? So it's quite interesting. I wonder how it will be different. Okay, so let's go. You haven't finished the main DLC. I finished it. Starting a DLC will automatically generate a default theme. Yes, I already finished the main story. One on stream, another one on behind the stream. Monarch, your reign and abode, your scepter and the orb you hold, and then the ground which you trod, all will be. Oh shit. In 1905, you open your eye to this realm. Becoming a king was never your choice. It was your birthright. It was your burden. I think here, even okay, I'm leaning towards it was your calling. It's not saying that we deserved it, but we have to like we have to stand up to the the call of time. From a young age, you knew you were no ordinary child. You were Romus Toras, grandson of Queen Liza. Can I see? Oh, grandson of Queen Liza, ruler of all Rizia. Son of Crown Prince Valero, the Duke of Valencris. For most of the year, you'll live with your father Valero and your mother Estella in a lavish palace atop the cliff of Monques. Each summer, though, you visited your mother's common-born family at their home by the Zil Harbor, stayed with the queen at the royal residence in Port Grazon, went hunting with your father's brother Hugo in the forest of Bernas. This one I'm not sure, but we're a man of the people. We visited your mother's common-born family at their home by the Zil Harbor. Your grandparents were fisher people of modest means, and staying with them helped you feel grounded. Every autumn you return home a little wiser. Yep. When Queen Liza died, the whole country grieved, but the mourning could only last for so long. There was a new king to the crown. You remember two things about King Valero's coronation. The whispers that Hugo, now the Duke of Valancris, was actually the rightful king, and the shouts of protesters outside the palace gates. Alone with your father at the ceremony, you asked him about the rumors. Asked him about the protests. Your father laughed and told you that some people had come to believe Rizia shouldn't be ruled by a monarchy anymore, but of course, he assured you, they were wrong. You had your doubts. Life in Port Grazon was less exciting than you expected. You were tutored privately and rarely had contact with non-royals. At the palace, the closest person to your age was Pabel, the groundskeeper's son, a quiet but friendly kid who knew about every plant in the garden. You quickly became close friends, enjoyed bossing him around, didn't have much to do with each other. Quickly became friends. When you came of age, your father invited you to start sitting in the royal council meeting. You decided that you would love to join. I think I would rather love to join. But go to university instead. I think here, if we can do this as a side thing, I think I'll join. But if compare that with university, I think it's better for us to go to university because that will open up our mind. At the prestigious University of Isa, you studied history, politics, and economics to prepare you for your eventual reign. In one of your classes, an argument broke out about Pallas, a former part of Rizia that had long belonged to the Empire of Valgos. Now that empire had fallen, your father's government was launching a military campaign to take the newly independent region back. You thought it was a lost cause. This one I don't have much. I don't really feel a disagree, but at the same time, I'm leaning 60 to 60 to take it back, 40 to just leave it be. But the term reconquer though, that's the one thing that I don't like. If it's to petition to take it back, then I would fully support. I think this is very important because this is probably gonna be one of our military campaign about. Okay, agree it was time to reconquer the territory. As you continue your studies, the Reclamation War dragged on. It seemed like an easy victory until your northern neighbor Lesbia got involved, sending weapons and financial aid to the palace. Protests against the war sprouted on campus. Asked your father to stop the bloodshed, demanded that he crack down on the traitors, refrain from taking sides, asked your father to stop the bloodshed. Some troops were withdrawn, but the fire had been lit. The next day, class was interrupted by the announcement that the navy had mutinied. Bloody clashes between pro and anti-monarchists were erupting across the country. The century of revolutionists had reached Rizia at last. The king insisted you be driven back to the capital immediately. As you left Isa city's limits, though an unmarked car swerved in front of you, blocking the road, a trio of masked men with guns jumped out. overpowered your guards and forced you out of the car. And here, might as well comply with their demands. Because you might get shot. Or crippled. You recognize one of their voices, Lucas Sazon, Duke of Brenas and the head of Rizia's third royal house. A hood went over your head, then darkness. They held you captive for nearly a week. When rescue finally came, it was in the form of a man with a white, blue, magenta flag on his fatigues. Wacklin. Wacklin? Wacklin, if I'm not wrong, is like a very authoritarian country, if I'm not mistaken. At the palace, you pieced together what had happened. In desperation, your father had pleaded for the aid of Rizia's neighbor, Wacklin, to neutralize the uprising. But that help came with a price. Over the next year, two nations worked out an agreement to transfer control of the Port Zili and its surrounding region, home to rich natural resources and millions of people. For the next 25 years, Zili would belong to Wacklin. You wonder how King Valero could have been so stupid. Yep, wondered how he could be so stupid. The traitor Lucas Sazon was executed, and his pregnant wife sent into exile. As further punishment, Itza, the capital city of Brenas and the Sazon's ancestral home, was handed to your family. Your uncle Hugo was sent to serve as its steward. In turn, you were to take place as reigning Duke of Valencris. At childhood home in Monkis, you focused on finding and punishing the remaining traitors of the throne. Largely ignore your duties and live a life of leisure? Nah. Did your best to help your region rebuild. I think this is the best. Valencris came to you as a general's capable leader. One day, the king came for an unannounced visit. He brought with him a pale-skinned young woman with striking blue eyes. Hesitantly, she introduced herself as Lena Livingston, the sister of Queen Beatrice of Rumburg, and your wife-to-be. You kiss her hand. King Valero told you that he had no choice. With Wacklin descending into civil war, Rizia needed a new ally. A partnership with Kingdom of Rumburg, cemented with an arranged marriage, was in the best interest of both monarchies. Besides, he added, you would surely grow to love her. He was right. You and Lena began having hours-long conversation about your royal upbringings, hopes and dreams. By the time you lifted her veil, you know it was true love. The years after your wedding and the birth of your daughter Vina, you were the happiest of your life. The only trouble was that your royal duty left you too busy to spend time with your family. That your commitment to being a good husband and father sometimes meant you neglected your work. That you couldn't stop yourself. It's either one or two. It's either one or two. Like in this case, I think like royal duties is better. With Rumburg's help, Rizia's economy bounced back to level it hadn't seen since the glory days of Queen Liza. A wealthy Rumburgian started moving to the cities, so did economic migrants from neighboring Morella and Derdia, and Wessex seeking asylum from the Civil War. You celebrated Rizia's new diversity, were suspicious of the newcomers, welcomed the new arrivals, but were secretly glad that few of them settled in your province. I think he celebrated Rizia's new diversity, like to gain support from everybody, but at the same time, it's gonna anger the conservatives. Many of the foreigners ended up in the province of Brenas, where a nationalist movement called Suomina, a national organization that puts Rizia above all, began demanding that the king put Rizia above all. As the Duke of Iza, your uncle Hugo turned a blind eye to Suomina's activity while his teenage son Ricardus became a vocal supporter. Eventually, Ricardus, better known as Rico, approached you about speaking at one of the group rallies. Attended but did not speak. I don't want, I want to support the diversity though. Refuse. You distance yourself from the organization and from Rico. Your uncle was displeased but said nothing. Maybe I should have attended. And that way I could have... If that's the case, I would have been able to like become like a sleeper agent, you know? Like, hey, maybe these people are not bad. I think that's what I want to do. Can I restart? Can I restart? Can I restart? Okay, we can. So we're gonna quickly go back to it. I think we should attend, but not speak. Because I want to be like a sleeper agent. Like, hey, these people are not bad. These people are good people. Like, that's what I'm trying to, like, do. All will be dust when you're cool. It was your calling. So we're gonna rush through it, okay? Zil Harbor. Home a little wiser. New king to the crown. Ask him about the protests. You have your doubts. Became close friends. Joined university instead. Agree it was time to reconquer the territory. Ask your father to stop the bloodshed. I wonder what will happen if I try to fight them here. But let's just comply. You wonder how King Valero could be so stupid? Did your best to rebuild. Kiss her hand. He was right. Royal duty left you too busy. Celebrated new diversity. Okay, here we attended but not speak. You watch as the organization leaders bemoan the loss of Rizian territory, identity, and values. They stopped just short of blaming King Valero directly. A few years pass. You slowly realize that the uprising had broken something in your father. He began neglecting his duties as he became increasingly preoccupied with threats, both real and imaginary. Outside of the country, he gained a new nickname, Valero the Frail. You found yourself more and more pressured to make up for your father's shortcoming. Lena was patient and understanding, one of the many things he loved about her. For her 10th birthday, Vena asked you to go sailing with the two of you. You happily come along. In the middle of the Gulf of Valencuris, the weather turned unexpectedly stormy. When the captain tried to turn the boat around, it was hit with a breaking wave and cracked in half. The Coast Guard got to you and your daughter on time, but by the time they pulled Lena out, she was barely breathing. She died holding your hand. You were devastated. After the funeral, your mother Estella came to visit and found you hardly able to function. She promptly moved in to help out with Vena. Higo suggested you turn to Russism, Rizia's official reason to cope with your loss. Like, if we didn't go, most probably she will go alone, and we will lose her without being by her side. I think we should just accept it. This one I'm not sure, because like I am an agnostic. I don't mind going with either one of this. I don't mind with either one of this, but if you ask me which one I'm leaning to number 2. Become less of a believer. Meanwhile, the situation in the capital worsened. Rizian nationalists continue to protest the loss of Zil, the country's increasing diversity. Rumors spread that an anti-monarchist movement was beginning to grow once more. Your father called Hugo back from Itza to keep an eye on the council. You wonder what the country was coming to. You reasoned the king had brought his troubles on himself. You believe that things could be better. Things could be better. Even with Hugo advising him as Grand Vizier, King Valero seemed powerless to address the escalating tensions. Hugo suggested that to the king that you be entrusted to certain responsibilities. Upon agreement from the king and royal council, you were granted the opportunity to aid as the crown prince. You chose to concentrate enforcing internal security and the passing of necessary royal decrees, strengthening the armed forces and building new military formation, increasing gold production and tax collection, enhancing the oil, coal, and gas, spearheading the public relationship campaign to boost national opinions of the pharaoh family. I think this is the best. I could go for number 4, but number 5 is the best. Basically, what we do is like how the queen, ruled for so long, because she had a very like favorable opinion, among the public, because she was quite open to the commoner. Don't say much about the king though. Currently, outsiders also took notice to the king's decline. One of them was Axel Reinhardt, Grand Duke of Pallas, the new ruler of the Grand Duchy of Pallas. He sent you an invitation to visit him on 2 conditions. You were to go alone and without your father's knowledge. Accepted. It was your first time in Pallas since childhood. You were surprised to know how modern everything seemed now. Duke Reinhardt welcomed you to his palace. He said he was hoping to re-establish a relationship with Rizia once he became king. You told him that would only be possible once Pallas rejoined Rizia where it belonged. Said you were looking forward to putting the past behind you. Agreed that a thaw between Rizia and Pallas could be lucrative on both sides. Refused to promise anything. A peninsula of Rizia South, formerly a part of the kingdom. Okay, that gave me some insight to it. Even though they are part of our kingdom, agreed at a thaw between Rizia. I think like number 1 is out of the question. I'm leaning to either 2 or 3. But if I say agreed, this is like very favorable to them. Basically saying that, we're gonna improve relationship. I just scared that Pallas would overtake us. Okay, that's one thing I'm scared. If Pallas overtake us, then like we will actually be, the other way around. Instead of them joining back, we're gonna join them. But I think we can overcome that and remain on the high ground. Agreed at a thaw between Rizia and Pallas could be lucrative on both sides. The Duke was satisfied with your answer. You spent the next few days getting to know him, the duchy better. Afterwards, you told your father about your trip. The king was furious. He accused you of betrayal. He ordered you to tell him about the meeting with the Duke. You went against Duke Reinhardt's wishes and gave your father every last detail. You kept your mouth shut. As Vina grew into an intelligent, self-reliant young woman, your mother moved to Monkeys back to the capital. She called you one night, her voice shaking. The king was dying. He'd gone straight to bed after dinner. When your mother went to check in on him later, she found him comatose in the bedroom. The doctor suspected a heart attack. You rushed to see him. Your father looked pale as a ghost. It took all his efforts to speak. In a hoarse whisper, he warned you not to follow in his footsteps. Your reign would be a fresh start for House Toras. Your family and Rizia's main royal house, based in the province of Valankris. A new chance to take back the lands that were lost. He closed his eyes. Only after his funeral, gathered at the palace with your mother and daughter, did the realization begin to dawn on you. From the day you were born, your entire life had been leading to this moment. Now, it was finally here. Chapter 1. King Romus. Hmm. Huh? Wise man's hat. White wig, white hat, wavy. Fedora, short, pushback. The professional. Gentleman, default. I think we go for the professional. Clean shaven. Theorist. Sideburns. I'm not a big fan of facial hair. I'm not a big fan of facial hair, okay? Attire default. Red velvet. Wiseman's robe. Nah, not a big fan of it. Brown suit. Grey suit. Ceremonial attire. Horus Royal attire. Default. Background. I think turquoise. Accessory? Nah. I think we're good. Political Party, Rizia National Coalition. Choose the distinct of King Romus Toras. The confirmed style will remain throughout the story, and you won't be able to change it later. We're good. Yes. Let me drink some water. Strategic Focus Selection Panel. As King Romus Toras, you have extensive power to enact and shape the course of the Golden Kingdom. By choosing different focus option, you can gain different strategic advantages. Government structure in intention. Opting for absolutism would solidify monarchy traditions within House Toras, while considering reform aligns with the House Sazon and the Rizian People's Party, signaling a shift towards a wider participation and resource redistribution. Conversely, the status quo upholds the current balance of power and provincial autonomy. Absolutism. I don't think I want absolutism though. Ooh, I don't want to be absolutism, but I also don't want like in real life I wouldn't mind going for reform. But since we know what kind of like king we want to be like for the people. But if we have reform, then it's gonna give us less power. So we're gonna keep. I think we're gonna keep the status quo. Yeah, I think because at the very least, I think we should keep the status quo. Although in real life, I will go for reform because I'm not, the one in power. Economic strategy. A focus on strengthening our resources economy involves leveraging natural assets and safeguarding long-term energy commitments. Alternatively, diversifying the economy beyond resource reliance aims for a balanced financial landscape, mitigating over-reliance risk. A mixed strategy offers more flexibility. Strengthen resources. Diversity. What happens if I choose diversity? Yeah, I think diversity is the best. Never rely on one type of resources. That's what happened to Venezuela because they rely so much on oil. When the price of oil drops, so does everything else. Okay. Makes approach give more authority, more flexibility, eh? It's either diversity or mixed approach. Yeah, I think we should like diversify. Although we're gonna lose a bit on authority, at the very least, like it will help the economy. Foreign affairs strategy. The kingdom faces new diplomatic choices. Interventionism encourages active military involvement, while appeasement aims to strengthen ties with Backland and Rumburg's monarchy. Alternatively, you could choose the third way, forming a new regional alliance with Dirdia, Pallas, and Morelia to avoid major powers. I don't want to go for interventionism, because that means that you're gonna be a lot of budget on our military. Like, first thing first, build up on your economy, then you can focus on anything. Like, focus on economy, focus on health, focus on education. Those are the top three. I think we will go for the third way. Forming regional alliances with Dirdia, Pallas, and Morella. Okay. Military branch focus, Rizian Air Force. A shift in focus of Rizian and Royal Air Force could position us as potential area superiority. By exploring advanced pilot training and considering an expansion of our bomber fleet, we might enhance our capacity for strikes and extend our bombing operational reach. I think this is good. Rizian Army. Directing resources toward the army expands our ground operation with advanced vehicles, artillery, infantry, equipment, while also training additional mountaineer unit. This strategy elevates our operational potential and allows for more flexibility in land campaigns. Navy. Investing in Rizian Navy to include advanced warship, specifically equipped for naval bombardment and amphibious operation, significantly enhance our capability for naval invasions. This strategic expansion boosts our naval presence and adds a specialized marine unit. Oh, none. Okay, we have to choose. Even though we have the choice to choose none, we still need to like protect our sovereignty. Okay, now this is the 1950s. Okay, so if you have air superiority, like you are ahead of the rest. I think like we're gonna go for Rizian Air Force. Although the marine unit is very interesting, okay, meaning like we can do a little bit of special ops, okay, but that is if like they are near water. But then I could assume that, you know, even like lakes or rivers, it could be. I think maybe like somebody's gonna get kidnapped, and then like if you have the Rizian Navy, you can use the marine unit to like, you know, save them. But you know, grand scheme of things, I think the Rizian Air Force is like too much. It's like it offers too much. Yeah, I think we're gonna go for Air Force. Yes. The angelic sounding voice of boys choir echoed through the great hall of Pallas Resna. Continue. To most Rizian, this was the grandest room in the grandest building in the entire country. To me, it was just home. I remember wandering between the mosaic tile columns as a bored teenager, goofing around with Pable in the upper gallery as my father met with foreign dignitaries. And of course, this was where I married Lena. I sat upright in the Silla Orica, the gold-plated wooden throne on which all monarchs of Rizia were coronated. The hall before me was filled with nobles, politicians, business magnates, and even movie stars. Television crew move up and down the aisle, broadcasting the ceremony to Rizian public for the first time. My mother was sitting in the front row next to Uncle Hugo. The tradition dictated that in the absence of a king or queen consort, the seat next to me would be filled with the successor to the throne. Vina, pluck at a stray thread in her gown. Vina, how are you feeling, father? Ready for the next chapter. Honestly, a little nervous. Like this one, we have to she is family, so we have to open up a little bit to her. My daughter smiled. Don't worry, father. You're the king now. The final notes on the coronation hymn, "By his sword I live," rang out. An expectant silence filled the hall. It was broken by the sound of shuffling footsteps. The camera followed Grand Wiseman Saul Ignatius. As he walked slowly down the cathedral aisle, bearing velvet cushion, he presented it in front of me. On it was a Taurus crown, a black onyx orb, and a scroll containing the words to the royal oath. Grand Wiseman of Port Drazon, highest ranking and most respected religious leader in Rizia. He's the nephew of the previous Whiskerer, Mauro Ignatius. He was ordained around the turn of the century, spent some years as a missionary in Zena, for replacing his aging uncle on the royal council. Okay. Recite the oath. Take the oath. Who's Estella? Who's Estella? Oh, grandma. It's the mother. Oh, the mother. Even. Let's recite the oath. I took the scroll off the cushion and read aloud from it. I hereby pledge myself in service to the great nation of Rizia and its people. I promise to guide my country with a steadfast hand, to uphold the laws of this land under Saint Ruhek's watchful eyes, to wield the sword of justice and the shield of mercy in equal measure. All this I shall do until the day I die. Take the orb. I lifted the orb off the cushion and ran my fingers across the smooth surface. It was inlaid with a trio of diamonds representing the three royal houses of Rizia: Toras, Azaro, and Sazon. Look at Estella. I think this one, we look at the mom. I caught my mother's eye. She gave me a conspiratorial wink. Look at the crown. I gazed at the Taurus crown forged when my family took the throne 150 years ago. It was made of pure gold, adorned with two twisting spires resembling bull's horns. May Saint Ruhex fill you with his Holy Spirit on this day as he did your ancestors before you. Continue. With trembling hands, Grand Wiseman Ignatius lifted the crown off the cushion. I could spot a grey hair still clinging to its inner rim, my father's. You may keep the promises you made before God and your people. The crown came down on my head. Its heaviness surprised me. By the divine power vested in me, I proclaim you the sovereign king of Rizia. Arise, King Romus. Stand up. I stood. The choir broke into On Shores of Gold, the Rizian national anthem. According to royal tradition, this was my signal to march down the aisle and up to the palace balcony to greet the public. Proceed with coronation. I feel like I should proceed with the coronation first. I decided to proceed without making a speech. Everyone in the crowd bowed their heads as Vina and I made our way down the aisle. Because if I did it just, if I just break it, it sounded like I'm kind of like a very arrogant or like very prideful person. I passed my cousin Rico in the second row. He kept his head down and didn't acknowledge me. Yeah, he's like a purist. As we kept walking, I recognized various other members of Rizia, three royal houses, as well as monarchs from distant kingdoms. The entire back row was reserved for the Rombergian royal family and their entourage. I could feel my sister-in-law Beatrice's eyes on me. We reached the end of the hall, where the spiral case led to the palace balcony. Oh yeah, like Vena's mother, basically like our wife, is from Romberg, if I'm not mistaken. Come, Vina, let's greet your future subjects. My daughter beamed and put her arm up through mine. This is to show that, you know, we are still a family-oriented person. We walked up to the stairs and until we came to a door. Open it. I stepped out onto the balcony. The sunlight was so dazzling, I was almost blinded. When my eyes adjusted, I regarded the scene below me. Thousands and thousands of people packed onto the palace grounds, some waving the Rizian flag, others the House Toras banner. Just beyond them, at the gates, the police easily held back a small pocket of protesters. I paid little attention to them. I was focused on the noise of the crowd, an overwhelming roar that gradually cohered into a single chant. Salutanas axa regu novus. All hail the new king. Give me a second. Let me grab a bite. Actually, I'm eating spaghetti right now. Give me a second. Okay. Open city information. 7.9 million. Ranking first. 1.6 billion RG. GDP ranking first. Okay. Early morning at Palace Resna. The morning after my coronation, I was woken up by a knock on the wooden door. A knock on the door. It took me a few seconds to remember where I was. The royal bedroom on the top floor of the residential wing of Palace Resna made the one in the Taurus Palace in Monkis look shabby. Ornate gold trim covered the walls. I was alone in bed that could easily have slept four. Ooh. The knocking on the door continued. Who is it? The door swung open. Pable walked in, beaming. Who's Pable again? Head butler. Okay. Son of Palace Resna, groundskeeper. Oh, it's our friend. He grew up in the palace assisting his father. At the age of 50, he joined the household staff as a kitchen assistant. Supplementing his work with nighttime classes at Port Drazon. Over the ensuing years, he worked his way up to become the position of head butler, first to King Valero, then to his son King Romus. His particular specialties include household management, garden maintenance, and knowledge of Rizian wine. So our best friend became the chief butler. Rise and shine, your majesty. Having you wait on me. What nerve, barging the king like that. Nah. It's good to see you, people, but I think I should say this. I know this day will come, but it still feels odd having you wait on me. Like, kind of like joking around with friends, you know? People chuckle. You had better get used to it. Everyone answers to you now. He drew back the heavy velvet curtains. Sunshine flooded the room. Romus Toras, King of Rizia. You've come a long way since you were kids. Not really. All I had to do to get this job was wait for father to die. We shouldn't say that. So have you, Mr. Chief Butler. And yet here I am in the same exact palace. So have you, Mr. Chief Butler. Not bad for the groundskeeper's son, of course. It helped to have friends in high places. He looked me in the eyes. Forgive me if I'm overstepping, but how are you doing? I know you and your father didn't get along at the end, but it's never easy to lose a parent. Thank you for your concern. It's complicated. I don't know what I should be feeling right now. I think say it's complicated. There's no shit. You feel what you feel. He opened the doors of my armoire and began pulling out items of clothing. You have quite the packed schedule this morning. Why don't you eat breakfast with the girls? With the girls? With the girls? What do you mean, girls? What do you mean, girls? Won't you eat with us? Pablo shook his head. I ate in the servants' quarters before coming here. There are hierarchies to be observed now that you're king, I'm afraid. Hierarchies are meant to be broken. You are the head butler, not a common scullery maid. I insist you join us next time. I think we do need to maintain, but I would be fine either 2 or 3. I think 2 is just a bit too drastic. We should just say, hey, can you at least stop calling me your majesty? We don't need to be so formal with each other. I can in private. In public, it was seen as highly disrespectful. Yeah. I think this is a nice balance. If it's just between 2 of us, because we are friends, right? I haven't forgotten though. Be mar volu un oxix solu. I recognize the slogan you made up as kid. 2 tides rise, 1 sun sets. What does that mean? Thanks, people. Let's catch up later. This will be fun, just like old times. Enjoy your breakfast. Still my dressing gown. I head downstairs. I hope he doesn't secretly angry at us. In the eastern dining room, an enormous breakfast spread had been laid out. My mother was already sitting at the table, digging a spoon into a single grapefruit half. Really? That's all you're eating? You're supposed to be rice when... Good morning, mother. Same to you, darling. Despite the early hour, my mother was already in her full makeup. She dabbed at her lips with a napkin. I hope you're satisfied with yesterday's coronation. Your father wasn't nearly as well intended. What can I say? My people love me. That's only because of the TV cameras. That's only because of the TV cameras. Oh, don't sell yourself short. Her eyes grew serious. What was in that letter he wrote you, by the way? I never asked. He said never to make the same mistake as he did. He must have been talking about Zil and Palace, his great follies. What's Zil? Oh yeah, because he sold this out to Wackland. I think we have to take back Zil, because this is basically our mother's common birth, hometown. We need to take it back. Okay? Because our father basically sold Zil. Alice, if I'm not mistaken, this is was a part of the kingdom, but broke off, and now it's it's doing well for itself. Okay, I'm not sure technologically, but at least economically. So Palace, I think, rather than want to take it back, we should maintain like like a diplomatic aid, among them. So do not try to like antagonize them, but there are times maybe we should like, put ourselves above them, maybe, depending on the situation. But point is that we should be magnanimous with them. It's a pity he didn't live to preside over my homeland's big return to Rizia, but soon you will. Ah, so it is her birthplace. Only 1 year to go until the treaty expires. I'm already planning the reunification ceremony. Yeah, I think this is the most like optimistic. I'll find a suitable scandalizing dress to wear to it. But don't let my nattering on keep you from eating. A king needs energy. She handed me a risetta, the traditional rice and quince custard tart. The crust was exceptionally flaky. Just then, Vina came bounding down the stairs. Isn't it a lovely morning? My daughter kissed mother on the cheek, then gave me a shy wave. I nearly got lost on the way here. Grandma, why didn't you tell me that this place has had such a big library? Because I didn't want you to hold up in there all the time. A grandmother's got to see her granddaughter every so often, you know. Vina eagerly took a plate and started piling it high with pastries. My mother clicked her tongue disapprovingly. Not too many of those. The sweeter the taste, the wider the waist. Nice rhyme. Don't you agree, Romus? That's nonsense, Vina. Eat as much as you want. It's a special occasion. Our diet can start tomorrow. I think that's the best. Absolutely. If you eat this much every morning, you'll never get married. Whatever you say, mother. I think it's a special occasion. Vina took a bite of a risotto and gave an exaggerated sigh of pleasure. My mother rolled her eyes. Suit yourself. Now, if anyone in this palace could make a halfway decent strudel, that would be worth ruining one's figure for. We ate for a while in silence. Vina looked lost in thought. Finally, she spoke up. Father, I want to ask you something. You know, you know that I'm 18 now. It's time for you to taking on more responsibility. I know you should start thinking about where to study. I know we're already behind on finding you a husband. Yes, and that old? How time flies. Okay, here, like we gotta like put her to study. Okay, hopefully, like my plan for her is for her to succeed after us. Okay, for her to succeed after us, and but mother will probably be like, hey, we need to find her to marry off. I want her to be an independent woman. Like at the end, it's gonna pay off, but it's gonna take time, okay? Because we need her to like gain some knowledge. At the end, she'll be like, a woman advocate for us. Okay? Yeah, I think we'll go for this. That's not quite what I had in mind. I was thinking I'm old enough to accompany you to your council meetings. It's unusual for a female heir to join the council, I know. But didn't you do the same when you were my age? No, getting an education was far more important to me. Yeah, because we went to university more than that. Well, this is what's important to me. Liza the Great is a huge legacy to live up to after all. You shouldn't have to worry about living to anyone's legacy. You're great in your own right. My grandmother's achievements weren't as noteworthy as everyone says. Nah, she just happened to be at the right place at the right time. Greatness isn't something you're born with, my daughter. You can't glean it off others. My grandmother Queen Liza didn't get her wisdom from serving on her father's council. I think this is the best. That's not fair. She was already queen by the time she was my age. That's true, sweetheart. But your father is the one wearing the crown right now. Not Liza, not you. Yet, she looked at me sharply. And what your father needs needs is for your lovely little face to be seen at balls and ribbons, cutting ceremonies, not hidden behind council doors. Your grandma's right. As the princess, it's up to you to serve the ultimate example of beauty and grace in the country. Now, mother, we both know Vina is much more than a pretty face. It's an outdated image of a princess. If Vina wants to get involved in politics, I don't see why I shouldn't let her. It's true that you'll learn more about how the world works by being out in it, not by shadowing me. I think we can say this. Now, mother, we both know Vina is much more than a pretty face. I do recognize my duty to represent Rizia in public, but I need to learn how to govern the country, not just represent it. You want to spend the best year of your life cooped up in a den of snakes? The council isn't some wise, all-knowing entity. Everyone on it is only looking out for their own house and their own stature. And God help you if you get in the way of either of those. My councils represent many cumulative decades of experience. I would not discount their wisdom. I have always found it odd that we entrust the country's direction to a handful of privileged nobles. My father may have allowed his council to run roughshod over here. I will not make that mistake. It's either 2 or 3. I think we'll go for 3. Or maybe 2. Yeah, I think I have always found it odd that we had entrusted the country's direction to a handful of privileged nobles. If choosing when to ignore the council will be part of my future duties, I need to learn how to do that too. I promise that I'll be like I'm not even there, and I'll step out into public as much as I can. Vina looked at me with pleading eyes. Alright, Vina, you can come to meetings. Your grandmother's just jealous. You can join the meeting if you want. You're not coming to the council meeting, Vina. That's an order. Sorry, but grandma's right. You get bored in meetings anyway. Alright, Vina. You can come to meetings. If I do this, I'm just gonna make mother hate us. My daughter's face lit up. Thank you. I can't wait to start. Oh, I better refresh myself on Rizia lore. She pushed her plate away and dashed back up to the stairs. Once she was gone, my mother lit a cigarette. You do realize she'd be nothing more but a liability to you in that room. I don't care. She's my daughter and she'll get what she wants. She's the heir apparent. It'll be a good education for her. One more Toras on the council is an asset, not a liability. What does it matter? The council is an antiquated institution anyway. I think this one's the best. Like, here we're just like seeing her as a tool. I hope you're right. The clock struck 9:15. My first council meeting was starting soon. I excused myself from the table. As I was leaving the dining room, my mother cleared her throat. He always believed you make a good king, you know? Even if he didn't always show it. It won't be just good, I'll be the best. Be humble. Thanks for saying that. I headed back upstairs to fetch Vina. It's almost time to go. Okay, what's that going on? Oh. This. Read the report. Republic of Morella. Morellan Prime Minister Alma Sultana sends congratulation gift. The newly elected Prime Minister of Morella reached out to us after our coronation, sending her best wishes and desire to work more closely together, especially on matters of the Math Team International Trading Zone. Supreme Wise One of Azmal sends congratulations from Durdia. Durdian leader Yorga Azmal has sent us a message of congratulation following our coronation, as well as his assurance that God is with us. Despite our differing interpretation of the Ruhis religion, he invites us to join him for a friendly conversation in the capital of Nail at our leisure. With the governing seat of Monquist open after our ascension to the throne, it was decided that our cousin Hubertus, the closest Taurus relative living in the province, would assume the position until if and when Princess Vina is appointed Duchess. In a private message, he sent his assurances that he and his family would remain servants to the king. Coronation honored at Camp Donus. To mark our coronation, Acting War and Security Council Duchess Lucida Azaro. Okay. Together with the head of armed forces Carlos Robos Azaro, led the military forces in Camp Domus in special exercises. Most of other high-ranking members of House Azaro were present at the festivities, with the exception of General Thaddeus, who remains in hospital after suffering a stroke. Saison sends formal congratulations. The Saison nobility has issued their formal congratulations on our coronation. Family member hosted an outdoor screening at the ceremony of Serena's Celibus. Okay. Attended by citizens from across the province of Brennas. 1950 to be an exceptional wine year. The Centavo family vineyard, Callas, has begun bottling its latest batch of Cavell, the first to follow last year's record harvest. They have named it Romus the Red, and claim 1950 will go down in history as an exceptional year for Rizian wine. House delegates holds a allegiance ceremony. For the occasion of the first Rizian coronation since the founding of House of Delegates, Majority Leader Daria Dereva. Delegates. She was House of Reva, wealthy family, blah blah blah. Okay. Okay. A special session where members took an oath of alliance to the crown. Each parliamentarian was asked to stand affirm his or her commitment to serve under King Romus' reign with a dedication and integrity. Baron and Baroness Valenke reaffirmed loyalty after absence. Security forces were dispatched to the estate of Lord and Lady Julio and Octavia Toras following their conspicuous absence from our coronation. Ooh. In the past, the couple was suspected of spreading false rumors, discrediting King Valero's claim to the throne. So this is when, like our father, ascended to the throne. There was, a protest or something like that. However, they testified that their absence was due to a bout of food poisoning. That's pretty weak sauce, reason, if you ask me. From improperly prepared shellfish enthusiastically reaffirmed their fealty to King Romus and his family. Queen Beatrice and Grace sent formal congratulations. Upon returning home from coronation ceremony, Queen Beatrice Livingston sent an official message of congratulations on behalf of Romberg and Grace, the Guild of Royal Allies and Commercial Exchange. She welcomed us to the ranks of the world's remaining monarchs and attached a personal note expressing her sorrow that her sister did not live to see our coronation. Yeah, quite sad. Morelan Prime Minister Alma Sultana sends congratulation gift. The newly elected Prime Minister Morella reached out after our coronation. I think we read this already. Yeah, we read this already. Okay, we read this already. Let's head back. Coronation celebrations. The Rizian public is eager to celebrate the new king's coronation. Investing in lavish celebration could make a first impression and earn their favor. Okay, now let's check. Authority, budget, energy. Ooh. From what I can see, it's either small parade or make it very grand. In the middle, it's just too weak sauce. Okay, because you don't get anything out of it. At least if you spend 2 budget, you get 1 authority. Or you can keep it. Okay, you can keep it small, but you're not losing much. So basically, what we can see here, 2 budget equal to 1 authority. And also, maybe it didn't say this here, but we can, improve our favor. Okay, this is authority, not favor. So I think we'll go for this. There might be some hidden mechanic oh, thank you, king, you really You basically like make the public feel welcome, maybe. I think this is the best. I think stats increase, stat decrease budget. Okay. Political overview with the Grand Vizier. The stairway to the Royal Council chambers was longer than I remembered. It took a moment to catch my breath in front of the carved oak doors. Hurry up, father. It's not very kingly of you to be late. A true king is never late. It is the others who are early. That's a bit too arrogant. You better stop with that when we're inside. You shouldn't say that. Just give me a second. You're wrong. It is very kingly of me to show up whenever I want. I think like just give me a second. We don't want to sound too much of a jerk. After collecting my thoughts, I pushed open the door and walked in. I'd only been here once or twice. I gazed up at the high dome ceiling with its skylight that shone down into the center of the room. Below it, a tall back red velvet chair towered over an oval mahogany table. To my surprise, the room was empty except for one man, my uncle. When Hugo saw me, he sprang to his feet. Welcome, Your Majesty. Please sit. Where is everyone? I think maybe we should embrace him, you know? Give it a hug. He is our uncle. Oh, I do want to say, where is everyone? You meet everyone else soon enough, but I thought a private chat with the grand... so he set this up. So this is not like some sort of like a power move from the others. Okay, so he set this up earlier, maybe like 30 minutes before everybody come. Okay, we need to chat. So good for him. Like maybe he's gonna give us like some inside scoop. His eyes traveled to the doorway where Vina was standing. Although it seems it won't be as private as I was expecting. Are you staying, Princess Vina? My daughter gave a shy nod. Yes, Uncle Hugo. I'm sitting in on the King's Council meetings. I was against the idea for the record, but she insisted. He's going to learn by experience. I wish I had done the same. It's unorthodox, I know, but future queens should have the same privileges as future kings. This is just too much of a tradition. Maybe we'll go for this. She's going to learn by experience. Hugo frowned as he processed this new information, then broke into a smile. By all means then, Your Highness, have a seat. Vina walked over to the tables as I made my way to the red velvet chair. Once we were all seated, I turned to my uncle. How have you been? Busy. Managing the royal transition is a full-time job in itself. Between that and visits to Rico and Itza, I haven't had a day off since the funeral. Rico? Oh, Rico is the son. Itza is what again? Third largest city in Rizia and the capital of Brenas region, famous for universities. It was founded as a merchant republic on the ancient trade route between the Mark, the Resonant Empire, and the Moser Empire. Okay. So basically, Itza is a very open city, location, whatever. Okay. I want to check the overview though. Let's check this one first. Conscription. Mandatory for individuals age 24 and older. As a result of regional tension, the long-standing practice ensures that the nation remains military vigilant and prepared. I'm not a big fan of conscription, but this is a different time, and that calls for a different measure. Provincial division obligation. Province like Brenas. Okay, this is status quo. We rule federally, but regionally they have autonomy. Rizian Armed Forces. False Data Military Complex. Forge of Rizia. Palace Administrative District Border Fortification. Capital Punishment. Ooh, homosexually, man. Okay, this is definitely gonna come out. Capital punishment. In this age, I still think it's okay to have capital punishment because it is the 1950s. Okay, now I don't agree with that because point is that people don't have like a proper education. Okay, like once they have proper education, then we can remove because like they don't know. Some of them don't know what's right and wrong. Semi-centralized political structure. Labor hands restricted. In Rizia, Dardian gas workers face rights restriction, contrasting to native Rizian workers. Established through specific visa policy, this restriction create discernible labor dynamic and socio-economic disparities within the workforce. You know, one thing I hope the game, how it programmed, okay, that you know, when you think of giving like, you know, foreign workers like labor rights, right? When you think, oh, you're giving the people, the foreigners, extra, you know, extra like extra rights, okay? But actually, like, it's equal rights. But at the same time, if you have equal rights, okay, between like a normal like citizen, okay, compared to a foreign immigrant, if that's the case, why don't you just take the local population, okay? Because okay, this I think the biggest example will probably like have to see like in the America, okay? In America, like the biggest problem is that um um in the USA, you see like people complaining, oh, these migrant workers are like trying to steal our jobs. But most of them, they're gonna go into like the farm work, okay? Like a huge of like the illegal immigrants, okay? And based on that, they're gonna be paid less, okay? They're gonna be paid less, and like they're gonna do the job that most like no like normal US citizen wouldn't want because like it's too labor intensive, okay? So if you want to see it that way, if you want to see it that way, like if you think it's like stealing your jobs, if you give the workers like equal pay, then like will will the farm owners like think of like, I'm gonna pay the same rate to a standard U.S. citizen and the standard, you know, a regular U.S. citizen and an immigrant. Might as well give it to the local population where you're gonna probably deal with less hassle because like if it's a foreign immigrant, you're probably gonna have to fill an extra form. That is probably gonna pay like into into the thoughts. So that's why I say like give them equal rights. You you are soft hand you are giving like a soft-handed nudge to like, okay, choose local population. Not like a hard nudge, a soft nudge. Okay? Symbolic House of Delegates. Guesswork. Symbolic House of Delegates. Plays a symbolic role. Legislative. Okay. State media control. Operate under Royal Herald with stringent state oversight. State media control, eh? I do feel like I want to like loosen up a bit. Loosen up a little bit, okay? Citizenship by blood right. Citizenship can only be granted based on a person's ancestral descent or Rizian blood, even if they are born outside Rizia. This policy strongly emphasizes familial ties, offering a path to citizenship for individuals proving Rizian lineage. For me, I'm kind of like want to be a bit more liberal, but not open to like anybody who is born in the soil will directly receive citizenship. I would wish like if you're born and raised, you're gonna open up path to citizenship. That's what I wish. A citizen. Small Rizian fleet. The reduction to a smaller Rizian fleet marks a significant strategic challenge, limiting Rizia maritime operational scope. This situation necessitates a heightened focus and tactical ingenuity and efficient resource allocation to safeguard national maritime interests and maintaining a competitive edge in naval encounters. We focus on air superiority. half full military equipment stockpile, paratrooper brigade, small marine division, high military manpower pool, large mountaineer corps. Okay. Policies, resource-based economy. That's something that we need to improve. We need to improve on our economy better. Like we have to like move a bit from resource. We don't want to put all eggs in one basket. Rizian Royal Goal. RRG originating from with its roots in Xiles. Because if you base on resource, sooner or later it's gonna be depleted and we're gonna be in a bad situation. That's like we have to diversify. Rizian Rail and Sea Network. Land and maritime transport. Wine industry, income tax. 10% income tax. I think it's okay. Would be okay if it's 8 though. It'll be better. Football industry. Sports. Not bad. Nalvisia oil field. Discovered in 1895, it's one of Rizia's historical oil assets. Although mostly depleted, it still contributes to Rizia oil requirement. A situation. Local tourist destination. Tourism primarily on local visitors with limited international presence. While providing some economic benefits, the nation's tourist potential remain largely untapped, missing opportunities for global cultural exchanges and economic growth. Yeah, we're definitely gonna like improve on this, okay? We're gonna make like our country like a open up to the public, and that way it's probably gonna increase our budget. And although it's gonna make it a little bit unstable because like we do have the purists who thinks like, oh, Rizia is for Rizian. That's the biggest problem. Although I think that's gonna be overshadowed. That's gonna be overshadowed by like the income that we gain. Low extraction volume. Underproducing. Okay, this one we need to find out the reason. Average industrial production capacity. MITS. What about this? Lysian welfare tradition. Market-driven housing. No drug addiction. We might need to fix this later on. Denial of access to Golconda's places of worship. In the line with blasphemy law, Golcondas find their religious freedom severely curtailed. The state has clamped down on their places of worship, making practicing their faith a daunting challenge. Maybe we need to increase it. Horrible worker rights. The kingdom faces a critical situation regarding labor rights with rampant exploitation. Okay, this one, if we increase like more labor protection, it's gonna like make our country more prosperous. We need to like give more worker rights. Golden Guard Brigade. Okay, situation. Ineffective foreign intelligence. There's so many stuff here. Okay. Diplomacy. AN member, Grace member, OMAC member, MITS member. Lost territorial integrity. Yeah, ZIL. Mixed global image. The global image of the country presents a complex mix of positive and negative perception. While certain aspects of its foreign policy and international conduct have been lauded, other action and decisions have drawn criticism and skepticism. This mixed reputation affects Rizia diplomatic leverage and necessitates a nuanced approach to international relations. Balancing this perception is crucial for the nation to maintain its influence and effectively navigate the complexity of global diplomatic landscape. Okay, I think that's good. Okay, we look at the codex. Now let's go. As I listened to him, my eyes drifted towards the back wall. It was covered in portraits of Rizia's previous king, including a newly painted likeness of my father. My dear brother, I do miss him, but I dare say it's time we had some fresh blood on the throne. As Valero had never got a chance to fill you in on his royal duties before he passed, I prepared an overview for you. Would you like to hear it? Please. Maybe I'm already up to speed, but I'm sure Vina would appreciate it. Good thinking. This will apply to her too. Monday. As the king, you are both Rizia's head of state and commanders of its armed forces, as well as the de jure governor of Rizia Imperi, Belenkris, Palace Administrative District, and the island of Kelekbis. Like your father and grandmother before you, you alone had the power to reshape this country by passing royal decrees. As 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 is tradition over hundreds of years, each new ruler has passed the sovereign transition clemency decree to start their reign. The kingdom will be expecting your decree very soon. Tradition is the enemy of progress. We should not be bound by the past. Thanks for your advice, uncle. It's comforting to have your wisdom and experience guiding us at the start of my reign. The decrees will play a significant role in my reign. They won't just be symbolic gestures, but tools to shape the future of Rizia. I will not go against the tradition of Rizia. I will sign the decree as soon as possible. I think this is better. Tools to reshape the future of Rizia. Wield this power wisely, Romus. The decrees you issue should strengthen the fabric of our kingdom, not tear it. Hugo reached for a neatly rolled parchment lying on the grand table. With deliberate movements, he unrolled it, revealing the prepared royal decree. The intricate script and the seal of Rizia glinted under the chandelier's light. I and the rest of the Royal Council will advise you to the best of our abilities and put forth decrees and state decisions for your approval. Ultimately, the king has the final say. However, you should not neglect House of Delegates, the legislative assembly my brother has set up to appease the opposition after the uprising. Yes, that was one of his better ideas. I thought so as well. It gave Rizia appearance of a constitutional democracy while keeping power firmly in the hands of the king. His Majesty Valero presided over the last election in 1949. The Rizia National Coalition secured a House majority as always. They proposed decrees and issue official approvals or disapproval of the laws passed by you and the council. As Grand Vizier, it is traditional for me to attend their session and pass any relevant information on to you. Thanks for that, Your Grace. I'll be counting on you. Why can I attend? Then this one will kind of like see like a power move. I shouldn't do that. What do you think would be the consequences if I ignore them? Sounds like a waste of time. Thank you for that, Your Grace. I'll be counting on you. Of course, Your Majesty. Give me a second. I want to grab a bite. My stomach is rumbling a little bit. Okay. With that said, I would advise you to take the delegates' input into account. No good can come from ignoring the will of the people. Thank you for letting me know. I'll be sure to listen to them going forward. Do the delegates really represent the will of the people, or just that of the nobility? Hugo made a cutting sound. Do not discount the importance of nobility in this to this kingdom, my nephew. Keep them satisfied, and commoners will be better for it. But if you want a self-styled man of the people, look no further than the opposition. More specifically to their leader, Manus Saison. He's pretty young. Looks pretty young. Hugo scanned my face as closely as he spoke the name. The opposition elected a Saison? The traitor's son? The traitor's son? Exactly. Dang! As you know, Duke Lucas Saison was executed for his role in your kidnapping in 1926 uprising, while his wife Angelica was sent into exile on Calacabis. What's Calacabis though? I want to check. Never mind. While she remains under strict orders not to leave the island, no such restriction were placed on the son she gave birth to shortly after her arrival. He opened a folder and took out a picture of a clean-cut young man. Vina leaned forward to peer at it. Upon finishing studying in Kairut, Manus returned to the mainland, proceeding to win the largest supporter of any opposition leader we've seen thus far. His promises to give a voice to the common man seem to be resonating with the populace. Part of it, at least. Common man, he descended from nobility. Yeah, that's what makes him particularly dangerous. Yeah, I mean, I do like he have like both sides. In other words, like he have at least a feat in both roles. Like he's a noble but a persecuted noble. While I'm on the subject, a word about our houses. Toras? Our family currently controls the province of Valankris as well as the state of Itza. How is Valankris not that left? And what's going on in Itza? Has Rico been received as a duke? How's Valankris doing? Stable as always. With you on the throne, me as Grand Vizier, and Rico in Itza. I really don't like Rico in Itza though. The governing seat has been filled by Hubertus, a distant cousin of ours. Yeah, Hubertus. Of course, Princess Vena is eligible to take his place as the reigning duchess. He nodded at my daughter. In a few years maybe. I still don't feel ready. You're already smarter than I was when I became a duke, but it's your decision. You blush. Vina blush. Thank you, father. Hugo tapped his finger on the table. In any case, your majesty, I don't expect any trouble in Valankris during your reign. It remains the wealthiest of Rizia's provinces and the least affected by crime. Make sure their lives don't get any less comfortable and the locals there will stay loyal to you. From what I've been hearing, PR campaign you spearheaded over the last several years endeared you to them greatly. Keep up the good work. What's really going on in Itza? Okay, let's ask this. What's going on in Itza? Has Rico been well received as Duke? Hugo's face hardened. Itza has been difficult since Saison's rebellion, even more so now that native Rizians are in danger of being crowded out by migrants. He spat out the last word with some distaste. Considering the circumstances, I believe my son is doing just fine. Is Suamina still based there? Yes, and shudder to think what Itza would be like without it. What about Rizia Imperi? We control that too, don't we? Yes, Port Drazon and the metropolitan area are controlled by the central government and therefore House Toras. You don't need to worry about pleasing our house in this region though. It's more crucial to retain the favor of the major corporations that are based there. Nonsense, the corporation who should be concerned with winning my favor. I think this is a bit bad. Understood, if enemy economy takes a hit, another uprising won't be far behind. Precisely. The Palace Administrative District is also under the jurisdiction of Rizia Imperi, since we won it back in the Reclamation War. Got that. Got it, that's all. Hugo nodded approvingly. As for the other houses, Saison? Yes, aside from Itza, which is now under Rico's governance and all of Brennus is still their territory, the noble there swore fealty to the crown in exchange for keeping a hold on their cities and their estates. But the return of Angelica's boy could test that loyalty. He is their rightful duke, even if he does not admit it. Keep them in mind. He cannot be a duke and claim to represent democratic values at the same time. Yeah, this is the thing. A contradiction, isn't it? He discourages his fellow delegates from using the title, but has yet to officially renounce it. As for Angelica herself, I think like that's the way we can checkmate him. As for Angelica herself, she remains in exile, as she should. I think this is just a bit too much though. Why can't I have her killed? That would be just like... She's only the wife, okay? But another thing is that if we take her out, she's gonna be a martyr. She did nothing wrong. Why does she still have to suffer for it all these years? I'm kind of leaning on that. If Angelica is in exile and Manus has not laid claim to the Duke opposition, who's officially in charge of Brennus now? A lesser relation by the name of Leona, she reigns from Celebes. But it is Manus and Angelica and the rest of the Ceylon take their cues from. Lest we forget, Wacklin is scheduled to return Zell to Rizia next year, the Ceylon expecting the region to become part of their province, as it was before the uprising. The power balance between the houses is fragile enough. Adding so much land to Brennus will upset it beyond repair. Yeah, I think that's agree. The power balance between the houses is fragile enough. Adding so much land to Brennus will upset it beyond repair. As king, you have authority to make Zell part of the central government, similar to Rizia Imperi, an option to keep in mind. And finally, House Cesaro. Because like we can keep like the guy in check, okay? We can keep the guy in check by taking away Zil, which I think like it's best for us to like keep them in our table, but I wouldn't mind creating like a special administrative region for her. House Cesaro. Precisely, the rulers of Cardis Monteclar and the stewards of the Rizian Empire military. You must be aware of the Patriarch Thaddeus' poor health. The general suffered a stroke just prior to King Valero's death. I had no idea. A shame I never got to know him. A shame I never get to know him. His daughter Lucida, the Duchess of Monteclar, was selected to take his place as War and Security Counselor. You'll meet her later today. You should also know that factions within her province have begun calling for the return of Pallas again. Why? Cardes Monteclar is large and powerful enough. Azeros are warmongers to a man or woman. I won't let House Cesaro down. Finish the word, General. Pallas hasn't been part of Rizia for over a century. It's a lost cause. No matter your feelings on the subject, I advise you to take the house concern seriously. Hugo glanced at the clock. Well, I hope that was helpful. Okay, we're gonna be very careful with Pallas because it seems like that house is like hell bent on taking it back. But we have to pay it right. We wanna give them like, you know, a nudge to it. But if not, they're gonna be the key in our ousting from what I can feel. One more thing, as you're aware, a few years before your father's death, he reinstated Golden Guard. Right, the personal security officer of my father, and where are they now? Here, sir, ready and able. For the first time, I noticed the man standing in the corner of the room. He was wearing a tight-fitting gold blazer and barely concealed his muscular physique. Meet Titus Gordian, the captain of the Golden Guard. He and his men have been keeping a close watch on you since the coronation. Has he been in the room this whole time? Yeah, I think that's normal. I'm quite scared though. If he turn on us, we're probably gonna be dead, and we can't do anything about it. Pleased to meet you, Captain Gordian. Call me Titus, sir. Titus and his dozen men has been trained in the upper echelons of Rizia's elite military and police academics. Each has sworn an oath to protect the king and his family at all costs. What's with the costume? Wouldn't plainclothes guards be more effective? I think like that's for their ego as well. And how do we know they can be trusted? And what if someone gets to them? So they're guarding Vina, Queen Mother Stella as well. And how do we know they can be trusted? What if someone gets to them? I have no wife or children to threaten, Your Majesty, and I receive paychecks so large that bribery would be of no use. He bowed to Vina. He looked a little flustered. Wait, are you interested in... But didn't Queen Liza discontinue the Golden Guard because she thought they made the royals look elitist, and because... She trailed off. Because she thought they were getting too powerful. It's why our current force is less than a third of the size it once was. Your father always had fondness for Rizian tradition, so he spared no expense in bringing the guard back, albeit in reduced form. I think it's okay to keep it at this, like, at a small force, because we do need like protection. Like, think of it as a civil, like the Secret Service. You and your man had better stay in line, Captain. It humbles me to be in such an elite protection. You was right to do so. The important family. It humbles me to be worthy of such an elite unit's protection. The humility is all mine, sir. Most probably, like, they have this is like when we were kidnapped. Thank you, Titus. You may wait outside the chambers until the meeting's conclusion. Titus nodded and swiftly left the room. Noon already. Shall we and the young heiress break for a glass of wine before the council convenes in this afternoon? Hmm. I don't drink though, but this is like a social drinking. We still have much to catch up on. I think your father kept a storage of vintage Cantuovo in one of these cabinets. Thank you for the invitation, Uncle Hugo. He turned to look at my daughter in the eye. What an intelligent and well-mannered young woman you've grown up to be, Your Highness. I know how overwhelming the capital can seem compared to Monkeys, but if you have questions, don't be afraid to come to me. Vina smiled politely. That's very kind of you, Uncle Hugo. Listen to your uncle, he knows how everything works here. No offers or advice for me? I wouldn't presume to know better than you, Your Majesty. But of course, you can always come to me with questions as well. Vina finished jotting down some notes as Hugo went searching for the wine. Okay, that's a lot. Okay, there's a lot. So I can go on a little bit further. But I think this is where I'm gonna end today because like I wanna like play a bit of Persona 3 Reload. I kind of screwed up today where I couldn't defeat Elizabeth, so I'm gonna like spend a bit of time. Okay, so Monday I'm gonna pick this back up. Okay, and I think it's off to a good start. It's gonna be a long one, but I think I'm gonna enjoy it. Okay, like when you make decisions now, you have to think about 2-3 steps ahead. You can't just think of like one step, in the future, because if you like just think of it like at the current now, later, like in the later turns, you're gonna be like having a harder time to like fix everything. Okay, so even right now, okay, like say for example like Brenner's right now, right? Okay, it's under like it's the trader's house, okay, but at the same time like the heir to that wants to be like both. He wants to be like wants to be royalty, at the same time wants to be the man of the people. You can't have it both ways, okay? Like, and like he still want to have like the power of a duke with him. So we have to keep it in check. So that's why like when I'm thinking about it, Zell, if we got it back, I'm gonna like put it into like our we're gonna put it um into our administration, and like we're gonna govern it, giving us most probably like more budget, okay, and hopefully it give us more authority as well, okay. And if you look at it, and if you look at our place here right now, right, we're quite red. In other words, like we're not doing economically well. Brennus is doing better, I think. I wonder what does the color here mean, because they did say Monkis is pretty wealthy. I wonder why it's red. I wonder what the color means, because in the last game, like your economic prowess, you know, the greener you are, the greener you are, the more wealthy it is. Okay, I wonder if it's applied to that. Or maybe like this one is like to show off the power. Like this is the red is like is within our control, and the different color, like for example, like this greenish one is the house of uh it's Saison, and this one is like another house. What's it called? I forgot. The military house. Okay, so maybe it's that. But my priority would would be my priority right now would probably be um economy, and then workers' rights. Okay, like say workers' right. I just don't wish they just like, oh, we give like equal rights to the migrant workers. Then it's gonna be like, oh, we're gonna like not respecting like the local population. No, actually like giving workers' right to migrant workers, you are actually like giving people more incentive to, um, giving more people more incentive to like hire local people. I wish that the you know the developers don't just see it as like a, oh, just because you side with them that means that you are sidelining the local population. I hope they don't think like just straightforward as that. But it gives the perception of that. But in reality, it's helping both ways. Okay, so I think this is where we'll end today. Like I say, I'll pick this up on Monday. Okay, so that's all for today. I need to level up my personal tree reload. Okay, and hopefully tomorrow I'll be able to defeat Elizabeth. It's a nightmare, but it's doable. So see you guys next time. Bye bye.